we just talked about CMC missing time or what we would do with CMC. It does sound like it's a pain tolerance thing. I said I would give him this week and reevaluate. I have no problem if he plays against the Bengals because then they do have a bye week. You said you're willing to shut him down through the bye week and just make sure that he comes out of the bye week fully healthy and back to being as fresh as he can be. Let's assume he does miss time. Let's say he misses not even just this week. He does miss through the bye week. What do the 49ers need to do to be successful without CMC?
Just get everyone involved, man. I honestly think long term, the best thing for the 49ers is sit CMC through the bye week because
Mm.
if you do that, you have a fresh CMC coming into week 10 to finish the last 7-game stretch of the season. You know
Yeah.
he's 100% healthy. And in the meantime, you learned how to win without him. The Bengals are not playing that good. The Vikings are not good. You can beat both these teams. You should be able to beat both these teams with the weapons that are on this team. You have Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Jordan Mason. I'm not a big Elijah Mitchell guy right now. I'll be honest. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of toast. Maybe he'll prove me wrong this year. But I really like what I see from Jordan Mason. You have the pieces. You know, you're an offensive genius, Kyle Shanahan. You have a ton of freaking weapons. Win without CMC. Learn how to win without CMC. And then when he comes back, that's icing on the cake. You just won 2 games without CMC. Now CMC comes back. Oh, man, now you're going to be cooking for this last 7-game stretch headed into the playoffs. I think it's smart. I think what they need to do is just figure out how to win without Christian McCaffrey.
So it sounds like you would the 49ers are going to start Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
You would start Mason over Mitchell. Am I hearing you correctly?
Based on what I've seen this year, yes. Here's what people need to understand. Jordan Mason has the highest yards per carry out of all the running backs on the 49ers, including CMC.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers are better off mixing up CMC and Jordan Mason. Even if CMC was healthy right now, they would be smart to mix up Jordan Mason because Jordan Mason runs hard. He's the best runner between the tackles to me on the team over
Mm-hmm.
CMC. I'm going to be honest. Like CMC on the outside, I really like CMC better. Jordan Mason up the middle, to me, is the best running back on the team. And if you mix those two guys together, now you're keeping them fresh. You're inflicting pain on the defense because Jordan Mason will run at your ass, right? And you're keeping both guys fresh. So when they are in the game, they're more potent. And so that's what I think they need to be doing, regardless of whether CMC is healthy or not. They need to run Jordan Mason a lot more early, first quarter. Give him some touches, man. Mix it up every single quarter. Jordan Mason needs to be involved.
You know, it's interesting because I actually think CMC being out puts more stress on the pass game than the run game. Like I think in the pass game, now you still have tons of weapons and you should be able to get it done. But CMC being that last second check down and everybody kind of keying in on him gives everybody the one-on-one matchup. So I think it's going to put more stress on Ayuk and Debo and Kittle to go out and do their thing than it would necessarily Mason or Mitchell. I think Mason or Mitchell can run the ball fine. I agree. I would play Mason more, but either way, like I think they're both pretty dang good and they can run the ball very effectively without CMC. It's just the pass game will be a little bit harder to navigate. Then again, you're playing a bad Vikings defense, so you still should be able to score plenty of points. I don't know. The Bengals are starting to get hot. Burrow's starting to come back into form. The Bengals game without CMC, I think, would be tough. I would still give the edge to the 49ers slightly, but would it even be end of the world if they lost? Let's say CMC sits out these 2 weeks. They beat the Vikings and lose to the Bengals and go into the bye week, and then CMC comes back healthy. Would that really be end of the world having 2 losses going in the bye week, being 6-2? I don't think so.
Not against AFC teams. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think so at all. I mean, if you're 5-2, or what would it be? You would be
6-2.
6-2,
Yeah.
headed in. Coming out of the bye week, headed for the last stretch of the season. There's nothing wrong with that. Selfishly, I'm going to that Bengals game. I hope CNC plays for that reason, just so I can
Yeah.
watch them. But I don't. I just think they got to think long term, and I think I really want Kyle Shanahan to learn to win without CMC again, because they were able to do it without him before. They can do it again, and they have to be prepared for that. As my mom would say, heaven forbid something happens to CMC, right? They got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, and I think what would happen too, and we talked about it, it is very different in having a player be a part of the game plan, go out mid game, than knowing he's going to be out all week and preparing as if that is the case. But if you have a situation again, if he misses a couple games here and you've kind of figured out how to game plan without him, if you have a game again where he does go out mid game, you're not caught with your pants down again the way that offense seemed to be. I mean, they had Brock, I think, had one passing yard going into that final drive in the second half. I mean, that's as bad as it could look for an offense. I mean, the offense just could not move the ball. And I think if you add in penalties, they were like minus yards or something going into that final drive or close to it. Like it wasn't good overall. They couldn't move the ball at all. You don't want to have a situation like that going forward where CMC misses that you just feel like, oh my God, what are we going to do? You have to be confident that you can win without CMC.
And let's not forget, Ray is nice on offense, man. He ran twice. He ran the ball twice, got a first down every time. Also, Ronnie Bell, man. Look, what happened to Ronnie? Let's see a little bit of Ronnie Bell, man. I'm excited about him. The 49ers got a plethora of weapons. They can easily beat both these teams that they're facing without CMC. Maybe not easily. I'm not going to underestimate their opponents, but they can do it.
The Vikings, I think they should be able to beat easily. I do think that the Bengals are tougher. Like I said, I think the Bengals are starting to round into form. We'll see. With CMC, I'm very confident they win that game. Without him, not as confident. But worst case scenario, we're talking about going 1-1 over the next 2 weeks. Should be on paper without CMC. If he is truly hurt and needs that time, I would rather do that, and I'm comfortable doing that versus letting this linger all season long because you had to beat the Bengals in week 8.
Dude, the Bengals are coming to San Francisco, coming to Santa Clara. Like,
they are.
If you can't beat them at home without CMC, this is the best roster in the NFL. You take CMC off this team, still top 3 roster in the NFL. One thing that surprised me, this is off subject, but one thing that surprised me a little bit, Jess, I want to get your take, is I expected the AFC to just be dominant, over the NFC this year. It's not turning out that way.
No.
The NFC is just as strong as if not stronger than the AFC right now. To be honest, I mean, you got the Lions, the Niners, the Eagles, all 5-1. In the AFC, you just have, what is it? The Dolphins and the Chiefs are 5-1. So the NFC's turned out to be stronger than the AFC, or stronger than I thought they would be, at least.
Yeah, most certainly. And let's see. Soul Certified agrees with you. Richard disagrees with you. He says he hasn't seen anything without McCaffrey. And I think that's what Ryan's point is that they got to figure out how to do it without McCaffrey. They've done it before. They can do it again. Steve M says, got to win the number 1 seed. The Lions' schedule is way too easy. Yeah, I think that's a factor that we didn't really consider is the Detroit Lions. What if they get the number 1 seed? Because the Eagles' schedule is extremely tough. Like the 49ers can keep pace, I think, with the Eagles, and especially because they do play them, they can get that tiebreaker back. But losing 4 games might be too much to own the tiebreaker because the Lions might only lose 3. Like they're humming right now, and they do have a pretty easy schedule, at least division-wise. I haven't looked through it completely. I'd be lying if I said I had, but if you're saying it's easy, Steve M, I'm going to take your word for it. You're right. Number 1 seed is going to be very important, but would you rather be the number 2 seed and have a fully healthy CMC, or be the number 1 seed and have a laboring CMC? I'll take the number 2 seed and a fully healthy CMC personally.
And I'm not too worried about going into a dome in Detroit, as much as I would like the Eagles. That would scare me more. But it'd be great to be at home, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, to answer your question, I'd rather have CMC and be healthy and be the 2 seed.
Yeah, most certainly. Ryan, we're at our hour mark. Thank you so much for